friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hello, my name is Silver. I'm an intuitive psychic and I do deep dives into true crime cases. Today's video has been a highly requested one, so thank you so much to everybody who gives me requests. Thank you so much to everybody for your patience. So we're going to be taking a look at the case of Abby Williams and Libby German. These were two girls who were murdered in Indiana, Delphi. This is very unexpected for their small town. This was an area that kids and adults often frequented. It was this really high bridge that you could walk across, and it was kind of just like well known for people going there, taking photos to say, hey, I went there. It was a really cool place to like be in nature and look all around. These two girls caught a video that was pretty disturbing right before their unfortunate murders, and it showed one man following Abby on the bridge as Libby was recording with her phone. He did say some words, I believe it was hey, or like hey guys down the hill, something like that. So we have some blurry footage and we have a voice. That's kind of all we know of who was there at that time. There's been a lot of other evidence that has been found, but the police department has been very, very sneaky from the start about all of this, leading to so much speculation. What are they trying to hide? If they're trying to hide something, was anybody from the police department potentially involved, or just having some deeper knowledge about what actually went down and wanting to protect somebody in that way? Is that why they're being so secretive? And also, there are three suspects that we are going to be looking at in this video today. One of them has been convicted for the murders. His name is Richard Allen. Many people believe that he is not guilty for many reasons, and we'll get into that later. Another suspect we're going to be taking a look at is Keegan Klein. Now, he is a predator. He has been arrested for these predatory charges, but there's also some speculation that he could have maybe been the one who was a part of this, or who has done this for a few different reasons, and we'll be getting into that later as well. But he did plan on meeting the girls there at some, I'm not sure if it was there, but he did plan on meeting the girls that day. Maybe it was there. Then the other suspect that we're going to be taking a look at in today's video, he is named Ron Logan. He's actually passed away now. He died in, I believe, 2020. I'll fact check that here in a second, from COVID. There's those three people we're going to be taking a look at, plus also getting some deeper insight on why was the police department being so secretive, and to throw some more juicy twists onto this horrific case. There is speculation of Odinism being the reason, this being a sacrifice. Abby and Libby German were found in a staged, really uncomfortable scene to see. I obviously didn't see the actual crime scene myself, but I have seen like recreated photos that they have made to show just how the girls were found. They were found with sticks over their bodies, creating certain symbols and runes. It appears that there was a rune in the tree that they were under in blood. So there's just a whole lot of speculation that this is connected to Odinism. And so we're going to be doing some diving into that. Are any of the three people that we're talking about today, were they actually involved in the murders? Were they involved in this Odinism type of cult? What is going on? So there's so much information. This is a case that I actually had not been following at all until I got a million, that's an exaggeration, but until I got a lot of recommendations to do so. So this has just been like, whoa, I can't believe that I hadn't been following this case. There's so much unknown. And with the possibility of an innocent man being charged and put away and gone through the mental pain, potentially, if he is innocent, gone through that mental pain, I can't imagine what that is like, but that's horrific. We're going to be starting off with some tarot readings to get an idea of what really happened right before, during the murders, what was the reasoning. We're also going to be taking a look at how many people were involved, and also then moving into some dowsing rod questions to get some more specifics, and just to confirm some things that I get in the readings, or to confirm some of my channeled messages that I receive, so you all can kind of see that confirmation there. So there's going to be a whole lot that we're getting into today. Please leave a like and a comment and a subscribe. It helps my channel so much. It pushes me in the algorithm, and I genuinely love to hear all of your opinions. Every single perspective means so much to me because you are all so freaking smart. You bring up so many solid points, and you teach me so much about these cases too, which has been like really, really cool. Everything in this video is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. I do not know what I'm talking about. I am just talking. Let's jump right into the reading. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be looking into today, we're going to be taking a look at more of, before we get into any people, I'm going to look at basically like what actually went down on the bridge, what went down after the video. I want to know the details of what was taking place in the potential murderer or multiple murderers' minds, what they were thinking, what they were planning. I also want to take a look at Abby and Libby, kind of what they were feeling, what they were experiencing, just so we can get a better idea of like what was the reasoning, why did it happen, was it random, was it planned, all of those things. So just focusing on the actual murder itself before we get into any of the people. Let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to be pulling cards for is I want to know about the actual murders themselves. Just what's something that we need to know about the murders taking place. First, we have the King of Wands. Next, we have the Ten of Cups in reverse. Let's do one more and then I'll get into it. And then next we have the Hierophant in reverse. Ooh, okay, so already I'm getting the feeling that this definitely was connected to some type of belief system. So potentially in connection with Odinism, that cult. The reason I'm saying that is because with the Hierophant coming up, this card can represent religion or belief systems. And for some reason, this being in the reverse in this instance, this scenario, this is just really highlighting the effect that there was some deeper belief systems kind of at play here, part of the reasoning to why whoever, or if it was one person or multiple, did what they did. That's definitely like one of the key points here, is like it was something in their belief system. Okay, sorry, I had glue on my nail. I had to take it off, otherwise it was going to drive me crazy. Anyways, I can't remember what the last thing I said was. This card is basically leading me to believe that there is some other bigger belief system at play, potentially connected to Odinism. We'll get more into that later. Okay, so next, moving into the King of Wands and the Ten of Cups here, what this is kind of telling me is that I feel like it was a power move to make things, to kind of turn the worlds upside down of Abby and Libby for their families. So I really don't like how this is reading to begin with. I mean, not that I really thought I was going to like anything in this reading, but this is just super straight to the point, in my opinion, of suggesting that this scenario maybe allowed somebody to step into a more of a position of leadership or just prove themselves in some way. It feels like there's actually, yeah, okay, there actually feels like there is an individual or multiple individuals that were like, not to sound dramatic, but almost like upgraded or up leveled, viewed in some different light. But this is like taking some leadership position, being in charge, being in control, or perhaps this was just an opportunity for one of those people or multiple of them that were already more in like a leadership position or in control to really like prove it, show their power and ability. And then this just represents like Abby and Libby and their circumstances and their family, what they're going through. This is like not a good time. When the Ten of Cups is in the reverse, it represents like misalignment, disharmony, hard times. Okay. So now that we know this, I would like to know more about, give me some insight onto what was going on with the girls right before the murders took place. I'm gonna get more specific. Whenever they first noticed that there was a man on the bridge following them, what was kind of going through their mind and what went from there? Okay, so at first they were trying not to think much of it. They're trying to be like hopeful. They're like, okay, yeah, maybe this is like a little odd, strange, there's another person there, but like, it's okay. People come to this bridge all the time. That's what the Fool is telling me. This is just like hopeful optimism. Ooh, next we have the Nine of Cups in reverse. So this represents dissatisfaction, feeling upset or frustrated. So there must have been some interaction that definitely led them to believing that like, oh, this is actually not a typical situation that we're in. Okay, can you tell me more about that? What exactly made them believe that, or was this just an intuitive gut feeling? The Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so what this is telling me is it's just the sequencing of events that made them realize that something was not right. The reason I'm saying that is because the Wheel of Fortune can represent cycles, the movement forward of things, and that's what's really calling to me in this instance. The Wheel of Fortune in the upright can also, in typical readings, other readings, I just kind of like to give this general info, can mean like good luck or like money, like surprise, winning things. But what this also represents is the cycle of life, things moving forward, the wheel moving forward. So I just feel like it was just the sequencing of events taking place that made them realize this man is still here. He's kind of looking at us. Perhaps there were even like words spoken before that initial phone video, or just eye contact made, something like that. But that's what this is telling me. And I also wonder if perhaps there was another thing coming to me with this card is like some dissatisfaction from the other person or persons that they were aware of. That's just something else that keeps coming to my brain. So not only were they unsatisfied with the situation that they were finding themselves in, but perhaps there was it almost feels like a made up scenario in some way of this other person finding some reason to say something to them, reach out to them. Could this be in reference to, hey, guys down the hill? Because perhaps, for all we know, that could be this person trying to correct their movements or say, no, don't do that. You kind of got to go this way, right? Or perhaps there was some other thing said right before that or right after that. We don't really know. But I'm kind of getting the feeling that perhaps there was something that this person intentionally tried to find that they could step in and basically exclaim to these girls their opposing view or their opposing idea or their dissatisfaction and maybe something going on that would allow them to move in a direction that was easier to kind of take advantage of the situation. Very interesting. So I want to know about like the planning of this. It really feels planned. So can you just tell me a little bit more about what all went into the planning? We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, so there's definitely a little bit of a struggle and hesitation there because this represents like motivation, determination, forward movement, and this can talk about like delays. I'm feeling a little bit frustrated. I think maybe some people didn't feel like or see eye to eye on some of this stuff. That was probably causing some of the delays about how to, proceed with the action itself, how they were going to I'm really feeling multiple people are involved in this, so I'm just going to say that. But how they were going to achieve like what was happening, that kind of stuff. And here we have the Sun card in reverse. This represents an inability to like really do. Ooh, okay. So I feel like they had to do things in a way that they didn't exactly want to do. And the reason I'm saying that is because when this is in the reverse, it's like not shining to your fullest, not fully being your authentic version of yourself. So I feel like while this was like a collaborative plan amongst a couple people, maybe even more, I don't know, for some reason this feels really big to me. So that's kind of crazy. Okay, so I feel like because of that, and there was like so many opposing views, some delays, this just is showcasing the fact that like it wasn't actually done in the way that they really wanted it to be. And that's kind of crazy to say because there was a whole lot done, considering the crime scene appeared very staged. So, and I will be getting into that in a little bit, but at this point, I would just like to know, okay, we knew what was going on right before the murders. So bring me into the mind of the person or persons taking their life at the time of seeing them, at the time of actually taking their life, and afterwards setting the scene. This is the time of seeing them. Strength. Okay. This is the time of taking their life. Seven of Cups in reverse. And this is the time of afterwards staging the scene. Ace of Cups in reverse. Okay, so first let's start off with the Strength card being kind of what was going on in the mindset of this person or persons whenever they first saw the girls and saw their opportunity. So this is the Strength card. This is like a feeling, I'm going to say feeling confident. That's kind of what's really coming through now. So feeling confident and sure and just kind of like pulling up that it almost feels like, okay, like here I go. I'm gonna toughen up. I'm gonna make my chest bigger. I'm gonna like pull in my inner energy and power and use this because I know that this is like what I've been looking for. So I'm gonna try and find everything in me to get the strength to follow through with this. Not because I feel like there was some second guessings, but just because, you know, nerves, adrenaline, but just really seeing the potential for what their goal was in this situation and using that. I'm so sorry. Was I holding the card over here? Whatever. I'm sorry. And using that to really like propel them forward. Okay, hopefully I wasn't holding that out of frame the whole time. That'd be annoying. So then I have the Seven of Cups over here in reverse, showing up for the actual like taking of their lives. So it was kind of going through the murderer or murderer's mind at this point. And this talks about priorities. So trying to get things in order, figuring out what to do next. So I feel like the actual taking of their lives was maybe, you know, I feel like that went in the way that they had expected and planned, but I think it was after that. It was a little bit messy and not as put together as they had hoped for. And that was leading to figuring out, okay, what's next? What are we gonna all include in the aftermath, like the staging? How is that gonna appear? Are we gonna present it in a way that's ideal for us? I also feel like the importance of like trying to keep up with like what are we not leaving behind here so we don't accidentally expose ourselves. I feel like these are all the things kind of going on. I feel like it was just really like fast in their mind. It was probably causing a lot of like more extremeness to their already heightened emotional state. So I feel like it's just almost like overwhelmed, kind of confused. Let's figure this all out. That's what's going on here. And for afterwards, the actual like staging of the girl's death, because it was staged. That's like without a doubt. Nobody just dies and accidentally gets giant branches put on top of them to mimic certain symbolisms and even horns on one of the girls. So with the Ace of Cups in reverse being that, this tells me that there's definitely some like dissatisfactory feelings towards this, which is very interesting because if this was the goal to kind of show like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is kind of like, you know, a sign to others, or maybe even a warning to others, right? That's how it feels. But with the Ace of Cups being in reverse, this is like there was something that wasn't actually fulfilled with this for them. Sorry, I feel like sometimes I explain the same thing in a million different ways, and I'm very sorry. Some people like it. Some people are like, shut up, get on with it. You're gonna have to get over it because that's how I talk. Okay, but the Ace of Cups is like not filling your cup in a way that you want it to be filled. So I feel like there was some lack there. There was something missing there. I also feel like again there's just conflict in the relationships and the dynamic of all the people involved. There was conflict there. I just feel like maybe one or multiple people were not content with the way that this played out on the side of the potential like convicted murderer or murderers. Okay. So overall, little summary of this, I definitely feel like there was some higher belief systems or connection to Odinism involved here. It was intentional to really flip things upside down for the girls and their family and their life. That was a power move. There was some delays on this because they weren't able to execute it in the exact manner that they wanted to due to some conflicts from within. And the girls at first wanted to give this person that they saw on the bridge the benefit of the doubt, but quickly realized due to how things were just moving along, that this was not a situation that they wanted to find themselves in. Okay, so before I pull any more cards, let's see. The next thing that I'm going to be taking a look at is I would like to understand more between the girls and like the person who took their life. What like kind of connection is there, if any? Because technically, you know, I'm getting the feeling that this was definitely planned, that there is some deeper meaning to this, but evidence does not necessarily show that. Like to me, I'm really feeling that this is somebody who already kind of like knew the girls or knew that they were going to be there in some way. So anyways, I want to know the connection there. So I'm going to pull a card for the real, not the current convicted one, because we don't actually know, but the real taker of their lives. That's going to be the, oh, interesting, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. This one's going to represent the girls. Eight of Pentacles in reverse. And this one's going to represent the energy between them. And I'm talking about, if any, before the murders, not during. The Judgment card in reverse. Interesting. Okay. So first of all, I want to talk about the Wheel of Fortune coming up in reverse for the person who did this horrific thing. This card came up in the upright when we were trying to figure out what gave the girls this clue that this is not right. With this being in the reverse, this is bad luck, negative cycles, things being stuck, kind of like staying in a, oh, this is familiar. Oh no, this is where we're going again. I think this is definitely somebody that they knew or knew of. They recognized this isn't right. They recognized something about this person that made a light bulb go off to where it, yes, like earlier, it was the natural sequencing of things that made them realize this, but because it was tied to a connection of somebody that they may vaguely know in some form or fashion, that's when it was like, something is not right here. It was something familiar that triggered that to them. And it shows that this person is just giving off that bad energy. They are the bad luck. They are the negative cycle that's going to come in and kind of perpetuate the, and when I say negative cycle, like the negative cycle of like hurt, lack of conclusions, all of this sort of stuff. That's crazy. This is coming up for them. It just really ties it all together. So then we have the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So this is just showing me the unwillingness to move forward with this person or this situation. I feel like there's maybe some like pressure, which makes sense considering what happened. But I feel like there's a little bit of like pressure to, you know, just go with it, make it less difficult for the criminals than it already would have been. And I just feel like there's definitely a resistance to that from them. So I don't think this was as easy as the perpetrator or perpetrators had hoped because of their like strong will. Next we have the Judgment card in reverse being for between them. This is like, this is not the right move, okay? Normally in the upright, this is like a true calling. When this is in the reverse, this is like out of alignment decision making. It almost feels like trying to force something on that's actually not supposed to happen, not meant to be. I'm just going to tell you right now, and I haven't even gotten into it, but I am really starting to feel that there was some manipulation. And here's some lies, some manipulation that maybe was coming from a place of like a dark desire. That's what's really coming through. Okay. Let's see. Tell me more about the murders themselves, like the actual committing the crime. Tell me more about that. The Sun card. It's interesting to see multiple cards come up, and now in different positions as well. Page of Wands in reverse. Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so there's definitely in some aspect of this, it was like I said, there was a purpose for it. So that purpose was still being played out. Like I said, I definitely think there was some unsatisfied people because it wasn't being able to be played out in the exact manner that they wished. But that's kind of where this Page of Wands in the reverse comes in. It's like, yeah, there's so much potential here, but like, I feel like we're missing something. I think it just wasn't planned as well thought out as like they maybe thought. And then the Seven of Wands, this is like waiting around. It's like, okay, we did the thing, we planted the seeds, now we're kind of waiting to see what happened. So I feel like, yeah, there was just a lack of planning, some impatientness, and just like a inability to really, let me think, like an inability to, I want to say like, it feels almost like messy, an inability to like follow the rules that they had maybe set up, if that makes sense. Like, I think there was somebody, and this could be the unsatisfied person, I'm not sure, but it almost feels like, or it might all be one person. Anyways, it really feels like that particular person was just maybe like reacting emotionally, kind of causing like some more disruptions, which was making some delays happen, missed opportunities happen, and what they were trying to do. I hope that makes sense. I know I just said a lot of things. Okay, I would like to know more about the internal, like, belief system of this person, a person's lack mindset, a lack, poverty, struggle. Yeah, definitely a religious belief. Okay, let's do one more card and go from there. The Ace of Wands. Okay, yeah, I feel like this was definitely some type of like, okay, like we are insignificant to what we are looking up to. And yeah, it was just out of aligned action, but it was almost like an offering. That's what I'm feeling. Wow, that's really dark. But I say that because like I feel like this is representing them, right? This is that higher power, that higher belief that they are looking up to. This Ace of Wands, this is like an opportunity. Think of this as like the universe handing you an opportunity and it being so much full of potential, and it's just all about how you take action on it and what happens from that. But because I feel like this belief system is actually just not anything productive, like this is harmful, that's why this is showing up for me in the reverse. And that's similar to why the Hierophant was speaking to me in that way in the reverse earlier. It's like it's showing me that it's like still this opportunity was being presented, that was still something for them, but it just feels so out of alignment. These were not aligned choices. These are not good choices. So that's what this is telling me. I really feel like this is some type of offering, some type of sacrifice. So it's definitely, unfortunately, very deep is what I'm gathering. I know, like, typically in cases, the most reasonable guess is usually like what is actually happened, the least complicated thing, but I unfortunately feel like this case is actually quite complicated. So the next thing I'm going to be taking a look at, now that we got kind of like a solid rundown of like the girls, what they were experiencing, what was going on during the murders, I'm going to take a look at the police. So whenever this was first reported to when they found the girls to after, what in the world was going on with the police department? Why were they being so secretive? What's going on there? So this is when it was reported. This one's going to be when they found them. And this next one is going to be just kind of after. Okay, so here we have the Ten of Swords. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. The Ten of Swords in reverse for whenever this is first reported. This is about the releasing and kind of like even like letting go, healing of like some betrayal, some past trauma. Like literally this man had 1,000,000 swords in his back. That to me is murder. So in the beginning, when this was first reported, I feel like there was nothing too visibly dishonest going on. This shows me that there was an initial, like, I feel like from everybody around, but I know this is the police perspective, but this initial, like, okay, yes, like we are presenting as we're going to fix this betrayal. We're going to work through this. We're going to, you know, fight for justice. Okay. So this is like leaving those horrible things in the past. We are moving on, reaching conclusions for something better. This middle one here for being when they found them, we have the High Priestess in reverse. So this represents the subconscious, hidden knowledge, stuff that is hiding in our subconscious mind that we don't want to allow to come forward. This is our intuition. I think the cops knew exactly what had happened, and they didn't want to be forthcoming with that for a number of reasons that we will get into later. But that's exactly what's coming up. They absolutely, some of them, if not all of them, knew what was going on. The Queen of Pentacles in reverse, pentacles represent like a sense of safety or security or money, anything that's transactional. The Queen of Pentacles being in reverse means that this is just like unstructured, it's disorganized, it's messy, there's no solid foundation in this. So I feel like they were shocked, stumbling, kind of like, oh no, how are we going to make this better? Because it's so obvious how how tragic this case is, how there's some deeper things going on. What are we going to do from here on out? This feels very scattered brained. I want to know the actual murder of the girls. Is there any connection with them and the cops? It's going to be them. Ooh, it's the Seven of Cups again. This time in the upright. The police department, the Wheel of Fortune. Whoa. The connection between them. Are you kidding me? Okay, I was actually like not really expecting this. Anytime this card comes up in these true crime readings, it's exactly what it means. Fucking death, okay? Wow. And with both of these cards coming up earlier for the people who did this, I'm certain there's a group of people that actually know what happened, but it's not getting out for their own safety and protection. Holy moly. Okay, so let's get into this really quick. I pulled this one for the murderer. I pulled this one for the police department, and this is the energy between them. So if there was not active correlation to plan this, it's they, which, okay, first of all, let's take it from this route before I get into that. Yes, the death of them obviously connects the police department and the murderer, okay? But it's deeper than that because of the specific cards we pulled were being represented earlier. Okay, so that's why I'm getting into this little tangent here. With the Wheel of Fortune being representative of the police department, this tells me perhaps the girls even saw they saw a familiar face or somebody that they knew was supposed to be protecting of an important name. That's why they're like, wait, what is actually going on? That's where something kind of clicked in their mind. They're like, why is this person here? Perhaps they recognize him from the police department. Okay, that's crazy. I actually was not expecting that. Crazy. That's what I'm picking up on right now. There's also potential that there's just the correlation, okay, of the police department and these people. Perhaps it was something planned. They knew it was going to happen. Perhaps part of the, oh, actually, let's just pull cards for this next thing that I'm going to say. Okay. So I was picking up on that. There's some people that are dissatisfied with how things went. I want to know, is that the police department? Are they dissatisfied because it was too messy? Was this too difficult for them? Or was it somebody else? So specifically, what did I'm going to say, because we don't know about all the people in the police department, right? But we at least know some with this reading, allegedly. So I just specifically, those people, how are they feeling about the murders and the crime scene itself? We have the Four of Wands, King of Swords in the reverse, and the Emperor in the upright. Okay. Wow. So first of all, before I fully get into this, I feel like I actually didn't get into the Seven of Cups again over here, with this one being representative of the murderers, right? Okay, this is all about the organization of things falling into place. So this is also just speaking to me a little bit more that the people who did it were like physically took their lives, were in more control, had more ideas planned, more prepping, all of this than potentially what the people who know something or were a part of it from the law side of things. I hope that makes sense. So they are a part of the cycle, perpetuating the cycle. They are a part of the problem. There was more mastermind stuff kind of going on over here, but like they knew. Okay, so anyways, their perspective on all of this, having the Four of Wands over here, this is a celebration. So that's frustrating and unfortunate. That shows that this is something that they were like, almost like feeling some type of like contentment, satisfaction, proud even at the hearing of it, maybe seeing some of the evidence of, as well. The King of Swords being in reverse, to me, this is like scattered mindset, scattered thoughts, scattered thinking, racing thoughts. That's what's kind of picking up right now. I also feel like this represents a lot of untruthfulness, not being able to speak directly and truthfully, which we did see in the press conferences. There was a lot of indirect speaking, excuse me, the Emperor here, this is all about taking control and leadership, being in charge. So I do feel like that they knew that they would be able to basically steer the ship in the direction that they wanted it to go for their benefit. Whoa. Okay. Well, I guess now I have to ask this. What, if any, direct correlation did anybody in law enforcement have when it comes to the deaths of Libby and Abby? We have the Knight of Cups in reverse, Four of Swords in reverse, and the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so I do not think anybody in the police force had a physical hand in what happened. I think it was more knowledge. With the Knight of Cups in reverse, this represents like a lack of basically like involvement and like a lack of like connection with the actual thing itself. So I feel like this was just more like a knowledge of things rather than like a physical connection with it. The Six of Pentacles here being in reverse to me also signifies that there was no direct internal ties. If this is in the upright, I would say that there is more of a correlation there. But with this being in the reverse, I just feel that this was a more like they were aware and knew exactly what it was when it happened, perhaps even beforehand, but there was no direct physical like involvement from anybody else. Maybe even one of them was there. Again, I was kind of picking up on that earlier, but then we have the Four of Swords in reverse here. This represents like, what am I trying to say? Like, this is all in the mind. Okay, so in the upright, this is like kind of giving your thoughts a rest, taking a break, trying to relax. In the reverse, it's like we are focused. We are focused mentally. We are thinking about something. We're thinking it through. We're discussing it in our mind, looking at our options. We're evaluating things, potentially even from an anxiety like baseline. So okay, sorry, I just had to blow my nose really quick. I can't exactly remember what the last thing I said was right before I had to do that. But basically, it's like this is potentially even coming like a lot of thoughts from like an anxiety baseline. So this is like overthinking. So again, I think this was all just mental for them. I don't think anybody in law enforcement was like physically involved in the taking of their lives. Okay. That's interesting. We have the Ace of Cups coming up. I wasn't even like really stating a question right now, but I feel like this is so important to look at. Again, with the Ace of Cups here, this just talks about like, I'm really feeling the connection of like relationships and all of this. I feel like there was manipulation. Oh my gosh, do you know what's speaking to me right now? This card can sometimes represent an invitation, a connection, and a relationship. That is something that was happening with Libby and Keegan Klein. He is a predator, a child predator. He has been convicted of charges with that. However, there was some speculation of his involvement in this case, and I was going to be taking a look at the, other people involved in this, the 3 suspects I mentioned at the beginning. I was going to do that here shortly, and I feel like this is just really bringing that up. So to get back to my main point, with this with this representing invites and relationship connections, a new relationship, a new experience, right? I feel like there was some manipulation in there, and they were going to meet up that day. I can't recall if it was ever confirmed that they were going to meet up there at that spot or not, but they were going to meet up. So I'm feeling like there was some manipulation there. I feel like that's a really important part, which is why this came up on its own. It was like this relationship connection and this invitation out was supposed to be fulfilling and something to be excited about. However, it was quickly flipped around and used in a way to harm them. And that's what I am really feeling with this card. Wow. Okay. So let's see. I had something in my mind that I was about to ask. What was I about to ask? Okay, I can't remember exactly where my brain was going to next, but let's just use this as a point to kind of segue into the relationship dynamic. So obviously we know Keegan Kline is a predator and he was catfishing Libby. I would like to know more about their relationship dynamic, what all of that was like. We have the Six of Swords. We have the Two of Pentacles. This one's representing him. This one's representing Libby. This is also going to be here, the more like direct energy between the two. The energy exchange between the two. The Four of Cups. Ooh, okay. This is hard. She knew that this was not exactly right. She had that feeling. And remember earlier I got that Judgment card that was in reverse, and it felt like this is misaligned action, but it feels like somebody is like really pushing it. Remember that? That's exactly what this is here. And oh my gosh, just look at I'm sorry, I'm getting excited because so many things are happening. Look at the order of these cards. I always feel like that plays such a significant role in things. This one represents him. He wants to go, right? He has intentions. He has a thought out plan. He wants to go and meet her. Literally representing traveling, doing something, okay? She over here is like, oh, how am I going to manage this? Because I want to. I think I have feelings for this person. I think this would be like, you know, potentially really cool. But on the other hand, like, you know, I have my friend with me, you know, I have my family, like they probably don't really know. I mean, I know her sister knew, but they probably don't really know like that I'm going to meet somebody here. And how do I like balance all of that? Or even just wanting to be with him or like run away with him is coming to mind, go do something with him, right? I feel like she was like, I'm not sure how to juggle this, but like I want to. And the energy between them, I feel like that's so there because look at this. His energy, he's over here like, come on, come look at this full cup I have. There's so many cool things that I have that you want over here. Just come on, come pay attention. Like, why don't you come meet me sometime, right? This is that persuasion, this like pushed, forced like feeling of like, oh, this would be great. This is what's supposed to be happening, right? And she's over here like, ooh, like, yeah, I really do want this, but I don't know. There's all these other things to consider. So this is super like so manipulative, to where she was really, you know, considering like, am I going to ignore the things most important to me in my life to fulfill this desire and to fulfill this need that I think is actually going to be like fulfilling and fun, not dangerous, right? Like, that's what I'm really getting here. Wow. Is there anything, okay. Yeah. Is there anything else we need to know about their dynamic, their communication with each other? We have the Five of Cups in reverse. The World card in reverse. And the Lovers. Ooh, okay. So I definitely feel like there was some, at least on like Libby's side of thing, I think she really felt that she liked him, and I think he was getting exactly what he wanted out of the situation, which was grooming a minor. And here we have the Five of Cups in reverse, which is like feeling like being able to like let go of the things that we have maybe failed at or felt embarrassed about or wish we could have done over again. I feel like there was a space for Libby and maybe even Keegan himself to kind of like, you know, talk about real things that they've actually experienced, that they can kind of like get off their chest and be a little emotionally vulnerable with each other. That's just unfortunately another part of the grooming process. The World card in reverse, to me, again, this is really just amplifying the what's the freaking word? It's just like amplifying the fact that there was deception in this, because when this card is in the reverse, it's like unfinished business. There's so much unknown there. There's so much still to learn, so much understanding. So I feel like this was representative of so many questions, so much unknown. So like there's this emotional vulnerability here, but it was leading in a direction where there was like so much to almost like consider or question or feel more disconnected from. Oh my gosh, okay, it's super coming through. The emotional manipulation that was going on here was like, yes, like tell me your struggles, tell me what's going on, we can confide in each other. Now I know your weak spots. I'm going to manipulate you to make you question your reality even more and deepen our bond. That's fucking gross. Okay. Next. Oh, sorry. Next here. Oh no, my candle went out. What does he think about the fact that Abby and Libby are gone? What does Keegan think about the fact that Abby and Libby are gone? We have King of Swords. Three of Wands. And Strength. Wow. Okay, so first of all, I definitely think that he's like gotten off the hook, and that's how he feels. This Strength card, again, this showed up earlier. I feel like he sees that there's so much potential like within himself and with what he had done and like accomplished. When I say accomplished, I'm meaning in like the dynamic of their relationship. I feel like he's actually satisfied with that, which is like unnerving. And then we have the King of Swords coming up over here. So again, this is like in a position of authority, of power. The swords represent clarity and honesty and directness, right? So if this is what he is thinking about the fact that they are gone, the fact that he has clear ideas on this scenario is very interesting. To me, this tells me that he is not confused about what happened, and he actually understands it on a deeper, profound level. With the Three of Wands being in reverse, to me this shows his inability to really see what the future holds for him. But again, with this Strength card, he has hope. And I feel like he sees potential for himself in the future. I don't know what his sentencing was for the CSAM that they had found on his phone, but whether he's getting out or not of prison, I feel like he still sees potential and hope within himself, because there is no direct tie to like the murders at this point. I mean, there was conversations about it, but another man is convicted, and we haven't even gotten into the cards about him. Oh my gosh. Okay, or the other person we're looking at. Okay, so we're gonna kind of stop here with the tarot with Keegan Klein. I'll get on to the next people, but for now, this shows direct insight and knowledge on the situation, unsure of what his future holds, but there's hope and strength, which this card again came up earlier. So it's just similar energy from him, the murders, the girls. Like, this is so weird. This whole case is weird. Okay, so moving on, we're going to take a look at Richard Allen, the convicted man at this point, here in a little bit. First, I want to take a look at Ron Logan. He is the man who owned the property where the girls were found. He was in an interview where he was talking about the situation to a like news reporter. He is wearing a hat and a jacket that look fucking identical to the bridge guy in the video. It's actually comical how he's wearing the exact same hat, has the exact same walk, the exact same stature, right? Crazy. But this man died in 2020 and nothing else came of it. So I want to know. First, I would like to know let's see here. It seemed like the police were like leaning in to him as the person who did it at first. until, you know, some other things happened, like his death. So, and this is just speculation. There's no hardcore evidence. The police never said this, but it looked like that's the direction they were moving in. And they did question him about some things. So I would like to know, what was the police perspective on Ron Logan? That's what I want to know right now. They had a feeling of like, okay, this could be the guy. This is the guy that we could, you know, arrest for this. That's their intuition. That's the messages. That's the almost like an excitement of like, okay, I think we can go somewhere with this. Here we have the Nine of Swords in reverse. This is like releasing anxiety, doubt, fear. So getting closer to answers. I really did feel like this was the person that they were going to lean in on for the arrest for their murders. And now we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. But it was unsuccessful. They were not able to follow through with this. One, they couldn't get enough concrete evidence, but two, his life cycle, because again, this is about the cycles of life, it ended. He was done. He died. There was no point in trying to go after him anymore because they needed real justice for the girls, and they also needed to point away from whatever it was they were trying to hide, which we will get more into, but the dowsing rod questions. So now I would like to know, Ron Logan, what was his internal thoughts about the murders? Because we got his external thoughts of what he said to the reporters, but how did he really feel? There's that Judgment card coming up in reverse again. And there's the Five of Pentacles coming up in reverse again. Earlier it was in the upright. And now we have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so here's how he actually felt about it. First, let's start off with the Judgment card in reverse. It's like, okay, normally this is ignoring your intuition, ignoring the call, right? Earlier, I had that feeling that it was like manipulating the call, if that makes sense. So manipulating the situation into making it feel like this is destiny, into making somebody believe that it's what's supposed to be happening, right? At this point in time, with this card pull, what this one is telling me is I feel like there was like he wanted to distance himself from it, right? And intuitively, he was like, no, I do not want to connect myself with this. Having the, excuse me, I keep like hiccuping, I don't know what's happening, or burping, I don't know. The Five of Pentacles in reverse, how this represents the lack mindset. In the reverse, it's like moving on from that, kind of healing from that. So I feel like that there definitely was some sensitivity around the subject. I think he maybe knows more than what he had been letting on. Because here, this is also like a lack of gratitude, feeling unsatisfied with how everything's kind of unfolding around him. So I think he knew that he looked guilty. Definitely there's some guilty knowledge in there. His intuition was trying to tell him like, dude, you can't really ignore this, but he was trying to push it away. And this is his desperate cry for trying to find stability and normalcy. That's the direction he was wanting to move in. Is like, I don't want to be connected with this. I'm not gonna allow it to bring me down, and I'm just gonna keep having my forward focused mindset. So, and also with this being the like how he felt about the murders themselves, again, this lack of like gratitude, I think he was also unsatisfied and not happy with the fact that they were found on his property. But this showing that there's a little bit of a deeper connection there as well, I think he may have been involved in some way. Is there any connection that he would share with Keegan Kline in any way? Why is everybody in this case so suspicious? Is there any connection there? Oh my gosh, this is the card of collaboration. Are you kidding me? Oh, I wonder if there's any evidence out there that can tie that together. And look at this imagery. People in a building, okay? 3 is a number of creation. This is coming together to collaborate, share ideas, get things going. Holy moly. The Two of Cups in reverse. There's a separation though. Okay. I believe that they are part of, okay, I'm just going to say it. And this might sound crazy. I feel like Ron Logan is a part of Odinism. I feel like Keegan Klein is a part of Odinism. The police, I think some of them are a part of it, or have some deep knowledge of it and maybe know some important people that are part of it. Okay, but that's really what's coming through. The building, having the people under the building, to me, this was just reminding me of like being in a church, a belief system. And that's not normally what this imagery is, but that's what it was just, oh, it just really felt like that. This here being separated, so while I don't think they directly were communicating with each other and there was some type of separation there was still a collaboration and mindset and belief system. Again, I think this is just on such a weird, deeper level. The Chariot in reverse, so this is like delays or a lack of like success with everything going on. So again, there's just some like things are not being really seen eye to eye. Let me sit here with this for a minute. Let's see what just kind of like comes through as a channeled message. This was much bigger than we realized. I'm seeing Keegan be kind of upset and flustered. I'm seeing Logan be upset and almost like wishing things were done in a different way, directed in a different way. I don't think he wanted them on his land. I feel like I'm seeing him like point somewhere else, like trying to tell people like, no, like why? Keegan's still just thinking about himself in this situation. I'm like, I wish you guys could just see what I'm seeing. I almost see him like throwing a fit. That is so odd. I feel like he wanted more of a say in things than what he got. I feel like he was like, yes, he was the catfish and the person communicating, but I feel like with what actually went down, he was like upset, disappointed that he wasn't more involved in what actually took place. He didn't get to do what he wanted to do. Okay, my next question, because there's speculation that Keegan's dad is like an Odinism. Is there a connection between his dad and Ron Logan? So the moon card represents intuition as well as fear and deception when it's in the reverse. So all these cards can mean a lot of things. I'm just saying like the main things that are like popping up to me right now. And I'm asking if Keegan's dad and Ron Logan have some deeper connection with each other. Next, we have the Three of Swords in reverse, which is like the releasing of feelings, healing through things, through hardships. Again, we have the Knight of Cups in reverse, a lack of energy and passion, emotional like sensitivity. Okay, let me sit with this for a second. Any connection there? I believe that they were both going through their own things and had a mutual, and when I say things, they each had their own mindset struggles, their own things that they're wanting to overcome, and had a shared interest, a shared idea, belief potentially that was going to help release those things, help them overcome whatever those things were. And over here for Ron Logan, we have the Knight of Cups coming up. I can't remember exactly where this showed up earlier, but I know it did. So that's really interesting to see. And the moon coming up for Keegan's dad, because I know I just kind of threw him in there, but there's speculation that he is a part of this. Yeah, that's so interesting. What else can you tell me about this? It just feels like there's some mutual connection there of wanting to overcome something. Yeah, wanting to walk away, walk in a better direction. Emotional stability, emotional safety. That's what they're looking for. And then here we have death. Emotional satisfaction. Okay. Stay with me here. And I don't know if this is going to be far-fetched. I don't know if there's any evidence out there saying that this isn't possible or is possible. But what I'm getting right here, right now, is that Ron Logan and Keegan Kline and his father were all involved in this. Okay? I think Ron Logan, Keegan Kline's dad, had more of a connection than we realize. They were coming together to plan and actually like create what had happened here, leading to those girls' death. This is them going on their little mission, their journey, walking away into what they would deem emotionally healing, emotionally satisfying, because then it again, like I said, it was like some type of offering or even like sacrifice kind of feeling. So moving into the direction of death, the death of Abby and Libby. That's wild. This is such a straight up like profound reading on this. That is so crazy. And I feel like Keegan Kline was upset because he wasn't as directly involved in the taking of their lives like he wanted to be. Holy moly. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Keegan Kline was like somewhere else, right? Like, didn't they confirm that he was not there at the murderers? Or maybe they didn't confirm that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think he was physically there. That's just my speculation. Or he wasn't physically there at like the yeah, no, that's my speculation. I don't think he was physically there. That's what it feels like. I was gonna try and consider other options, but I'm just not seeing that. So this video isn't just for like coming up with all the ideas, like it's to give you the reading of what I'm getting. And I don't think he was there. I think it was the older men in charge of this. Whoa, okay. Let me think, what else can I touch on, if anything, with Rogan? Oh no, Ron Logan. Here we go. I'm getting tired. I'm going to start talking stupid. Okay. What was the intention behind Ron Logan lying about his alibi? Why did he feel the need to do that? We have the 10 of Pentacles here. This is, yeah, he didn't feel safe. He didn't feel like saying that he was there was the safe thing to do. Yeah, he had an idea. This was something that was planned. So he had planned on this. He had planned on saying he was somewhere else. It was a planned alibi. It wasn't just something spur of the moment he thought of because he was nervous. Yeah, here we have the Star. So this is all about like trusting like the process, kind of like having faith, if you will, right? Yeah, I genuinely think that he had that alibi planned and he believed that it was going to work and it was going to be good enough, but it came out that that was false. Yeah, okay, so I guess I'd like to know, is there anything else, just anything else you can tell us about Ron Logan, Keegan Kline's dad, the girls, like just open-ended question. Anything else you can tell me about those people? And then we're going to get into Richard Allen. So we have the 8 of Wands in reverse coming up. Now we have the 7 of Wands in reverse coming up. And the World card in reverse again. So let's start off with the 2 wand cards. So first of all, the wands correlate to our belief systems, our actions, and how they like, yeah, how those two things correlate together, how they like play on each other. Are we making aligned actions, motivated actions, or misaligned actions? Are we doing things from a place of fear, like hate, right? Like misalignment, blah, blah. So that's the wands. The 8 of Wands being in reverse, this represents delays, things moving slower, maybe, just not being as fast. The 7 of Wands in reverse is like, it's almost, it's giving me the feeling of like, kind of like giving up. Normally this is the card of like, I'm standing up for myself. I'm speaking for what I believe in. I'm pushing through. I'm basically like fighting for my beliefs, for what I feel is right. And with this over here being like kind of slow, delayed, this over here representing like putting up a fight, but being in the reverse. Now we have the World card in reverse representing like unanswered questions, a lack of closure, feeling like what I'm getting with this is I feel like we're on a road and we hit a dead end and it's like, now what? That's like the image coming to my mind. So I really feel like I really feel like this is just telling me more about Abby and Libby, kind of like that process of what they went through. And I feel like it was confusing. I feel like it was very confusing. I don't think they actually knew at any point what was really happening or the real reason for any of it. Yeah, with the slowing down and delays of things, I definitely feel like it's because they're smart girls and they were aware that something was not right. So I think that slowed things down or that made some things difficult for the perpetrators. And I think there was really not that much like physical fighting, physical pushback, maybe a little bit, but not too much. That's where this kind of comes in. And that's where that like dead road is just showing up. It's just kind of blank after that. So that's what I'm getting for here. Okay. I'm gonna ask one more tarot question before I get into Richard Allen, just to like double confirm stuff. So, just to be clear, like, what was the reasoning? Why were these girls murdered? I know we kind of did that earlier, but I just want to know, did we kind of do that earlier? A little bit. I just want to ask this more specifically. Why were they murdered? Okay, the World card again. So at this point, I believe partly the reason why they were murdered was the people themselves were seeking answers, seeking completion, seeking completion. Yeah, that's the word that's coming to mind. I think they were really seeking completion in something, a ritual. To me, this looks, it's almost resembling a ritual. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Look, okay, bear with me here. Look at the woman, right? And she has the two like wands in her hands. To me, that's really representing like magic. The circle here, this can represent like a circle of protection. And you know, oftentimes in rituals, like we will put circles around things for protection, or like, you know, the little star here, the circle, right? The pentagram, all of that. There's a lot of circles mean a lot of different things. Circles can also represent like life itself. Okay. I feel like this was definitely ritualistic. The animals are really sticking out to me as well. This lion has been coming up quite a bit with the strength card. The bull as well represents like strength. I just really feel like this was definitely ritualistic. They were leaning in on other like entities and beings around for basically like answers and accomplishment and whatever it was that they were doing. But because it's in the reverse again, I just feel like it's like all coming from a place of manipulation and deceit and mistrust, right? Because in the reverse, this does usually bring up the point of unanswered questions, needing to seek for answers, needing closure, needing to travel, needing to go around and explore things, understand life in a different level. But with this being the reason for their deaths, I definitely see it as ritualistic, trying to basically come to a conclusion point on their end, get something bigger from this. Anything else you can tell me about the reason their lives were taken? Well, like, okay, yeah, so now that we know this, like, what was like the purpose of that ritual? Like, what was it doing? Like I said earlier, I think at the very beginning, maybe for some to like prove power or gain power, but like, is there something deeper than that? Fulfillment, alignment. We got that card earlier in the reverse representing them. Oh my gosh, so now we're having these two cards come up in the upright that were in reverse earlier. This one was representing like kind of a scatteredness, disorganizedness. This one was the girls, but it was upside down. Their life was flipped around. Everything was tragic for them. So the reasoning behind all of this was they were trying to basically, it feels like pull from the energy of the girls, from their sense of security, from their joy, their happiness. It's almost like energy harvesting is coming to my mind. Yeah, a sacrifice for what they had and what these people lacked so they could gain it. Wow, that's really disturbing. Okay. Next, I would like to talk about Richard Allen. So he is the man who has been convicted with their murders. His wife believes he is innocent, and a lot of people believe he is innocent. He stated he was on the bridge that day. and he maybe looks slightly similar to the guy in the video, Bridge Guy, and people say that his voice sounds a lot like Bridge Guy, and I would say it kind of does. So that's very interesting, and especially the fact that he put himself on that bridge that day. However, when you look at his videos, like him first being questioned, he responds like you would expect an innocent person to respond, kind of angry and blatantly saying, I did not do it. You will not find any evidence that I did it. Like, I just didn't do it. Anyways, moving forward, they kept him basically locked away, no bond, and he started to lose his like mental stability. He started to do really weird things. I believe he was even found eating his own poop at one point, but he confessed to the murders like a lot, like in the high double digits, if I'm remembering correctly. So people are like, well, he literally confessed to it many times. He's guilty. The man is guilty. He kind of sounds like Bridge Guy. He kind of looks like Bridge Guy. He's guilty. He said he was there. But the wife is claiming, and a lot of other people are claiming, that he only started doing that after he started basically going into some kind of psychosis. His mental health was declining. He was basically, I mean, imagine, right? Let's say he is innocent. An innocent person basically coming to a point of feeling like, this is it. I'm going to be, like, they're going to pin it on me. Maybe I did do it, right? You start to go insane if that's the case. Or you really did it and you're just trying to come off as insane for some reason, or your guilty conscience is making you insane, right? There's so many different reasons that this could happen. So anyways, I just want to take a look at Richard Allen. Basically, right before all of this happened, I want to take a look at him whenever the girls were like found, and then I want to take a look at him after he was in custody. So this first one is going to be before any of this craziness happened. Let's look at like the day before and all that jazz. So we have the Queen of Cups in reverse. This represents like emotional imbalance, emotional dissatisfaction. So to me, this shows me that he was just maybe going through some own like emotional turmoil stuff. Whenever the girls were first found, here we have some Nine of Cups in reverse. This represents like, ooh, like upset, you know, dissatisfactory. And this would make sense. I feel like it's like a normal response to two girls being found murdered. Okay, here we have the Six of Pentacles coming up for basically after he was in, you know, what am I trying to say? Like arrested, like he is being held. But this is also before any like trials, convictions, right? So what this is telling me, before everything started, he definitely had his own like emotional turmoil things going on. I don't feel that this is related in any way to any of this, but he had his own stuff. When the girls were found, this was disappointment, dissatisfaction. He was there, maybe internally as well. He thought, oh my gosh, I was there. This doesn't really like feel good. Also doesn't look good. I definitely kind of felt like he maybe thought that at one point as like, oh, this maybe doesn't look so good. Like I was there. So that's just something coming up. But after he is being held, like away, arrested, right? We have the Six of Pentacles coming up. This to me represents like negotiation right now. So I feel like, and you know, with this being his mindset, it's almost like, okay, what do I gotta say? What do I gotta do to get the best case scenario here? So already I'm not seeing any like direct guilty conscious of the murders. But let's do some more cards. So next thing I want to take a look at is him and any connection that he may have to the murders. I'm talking about like a real connection. Not any implied connection, but real connection. This one's going to be him. We have the Emperor. Again, that's somebody who's like in control, taking charge of yourself, of your life. But we have the Death card in reverse. This one's representing the murders itself. And with this, and in the reverse, right? It's like, yes, we're talking about it, but I'm already not feeling that connection. That's so interesting. Let's do a card for the energy between. And then we have the Nine of Swords. Okay, yeah. I think he's innocent. I don't think he did it. Okay, because this is just him in general. And I will say this card did come up earlier, right? We've seen that many times, multiple cards. However, this is just representative of him, okay? So this is not saying that he had this feeling because of the murders. This is him. This is the murders, right? This is the energy between. However, I do think it does still connect in some way. So let me get to that. With him being the emperor, this shows like control, being in charge, feeling like he is honest and honorable, humble, right? Okay, that's the emperor. And I feel like he felt confident in what he was able to bring to the table, because I thought it almost feels like he thought he was being genuinely helpful here. The deaths themselves, I mean, this absolutely represents the murders, but being in reverse here, to me, this is really just highlighting the fact that yes, it happened, but there is not that direct correlation there. However, I think he was starting to get really in his head about it, feeling anxious, overwhelmed, depressed, cannot sleep because of the implications here. Wow, this is just so clear as day. This is so crazy. Okay, let's see. Anything else that we need to know about Richard Allen? We have the Four of Pentacles in reverse, Queen of Swords in reverse, Two of Cups. So in order to create safety, in order to create a space where he felt secure and okay, he's really running through his ideas and his thoughts. Again, the swords in this instance, or the Queen of Swords too, represents clarity, honesty, boundaries, directness, and I feel like that was really lacking in his life. And so in order to kind of seek this sense of safety that he was lacking after being detained, we have the Queen of Swords here. So it's almost like he's like, it feels like quickly like going through his thoughts, like, what can I do? What can I say? What do I need to say to get out of this situation? That's what it really feels like. So I feel like there is some dishonesty coming from him because he doesn't know what else to do. Being honest has not gotten him where he had hoped it would get him. So we have the Two of Cups here. I feel like this is him marrying himself to ideas and to situations, or even people, connecting himself to situations or people, so he can create a sense of validation and security within himself, because you know, saying whatever his truth is and basically being told, that's not it, you're lying, you actually did these horrible things, right? That would kind of make somebody feel completely at a loss with who they are on the inside. So then you seek safety, you seek to create it. That would make sense. That's where his mindset would take him, is what relationships, what connection, what can I do to bring myself to a place that would basically allow me to feel some sense of security. Now, I would like to know what the police department really feels about Richard Allen, okay? Because it could be potentially that they are framing him, which that's what it's looking like right now. We have the Six of Wands in the upright. That's going to represent them. Richard Allen, the Star in reverse. Let's do the card for energy between them. First of all, the Six of Wands represents success, winning, that like visible success, right? So I think they see him as an opportunity of, yes, we can convict this person, we're getting justice, we did a good job. The Star card being in reverse is like, I don't have any hope, I don't have any trust, this is shit. There's a lack of balance. It's feeling completely unrested and lacking hope. And also, I know I haven't put a card for the energy between, but it is just interesting how this is set up. Success, feeling a lack of hope. However, there is this connection to kind of work together, maybe through manipulation is what I'm picking up on, for him to be like, please, I want to feel safe. But let's just go ahead and pull a card for energy between them. I want to really know what they thought of him. This freaking card in this video, he was the opportunity. He was the opportunity to keep that cycle going that we have been talking about. Holy moly, that's wild, and that's really sad. How much corruption is going on? Freaking crazy. Okay, I feel like that was all the questions I wanted to answer with the tarot cards. Let's get into the dowsing rods just to get a few more specifics on things and to confirm some of the messages that I received while doing the tarot reading. So the first thing I would like to confirm: was the murder of Abby and Libby connected to Odinism in any way? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Okay, thank you. I would also like to know, was there multiple people involved in the planning and or taking of the lives of Abby and Libby? Yes, thank you. Okay, now, Keegan Kline, was he in some way involved in the murders of Abby and Libby? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Was he in some way involved in the taking of their life, be it the planning or the actual taking of their life? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Okay. Was Ron Logan in any way involved of the taking of Abby and Libby's life, whether it was the planning and or the actual taking of their lives? Move cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Wow. Was Keegan Kline's dad in any way involved of the taking of Abby and Libby's life, be it planning or actual taking of their life? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Was Richard Allen in any way a part of the taking of Abby and Libby's life? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for your answers. Okay, first of all, that's wild. Thank you so much for the confirmation, but like, that's horrible. An innocent man allegedly is being convicted for these murders. Now that we have that out of the way, something that I'd like to ask is, so was the police department originally thinking that they could just go ahead and have Ron Logan be their suspect to charge for the murders of Abby and Libby? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Now, did this change, and did they have to basically switch who their suspect was because of his death from COVID? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Did they only switch suspects because Ron Logan died? Yes. All right. Thank you. So was the whole purpose of Keegan catfishing and asking them to meet somewhere, was that a whole setup? Was it a whole plan from him and his dad, and maybe even more from this Odinism cult, to take these girls' life? Was it that planned out? Move apart for no and cross for yes. Wow. That's wild. That's really crazy. Okay, thank you. Is there any connection with the police and being involved, or some of the police force being involved in this Odinism cult? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Is the reason the police were so secretive about things because of this tie to Odinism that some of them may have had? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Thank you. Was the death of Abby and Libby some type of sacrifice? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Was the bullet casing found at the scene of Abby and Libby actually connected to Richard Allen? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yeah, that's a no. Okay. Okay, I would like to know how many people were involved in the actual ending Abby and Libby's life. I'm going to say numbers, and please cross when that is the correct number. Was it only one person who ended Abby and Libby's life? Only one person. Cross for yes, move apart for no. Was it two people who took Abby and Libby's life? Was it two people involved in their murder? Was it three people involved in ending their lives? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Three people. Wow. And remember, we got the collaborative card earlier, Three of Pentacles. Maybe it literally meant three people. Okay. Was one of these people Ron Logan? Yes. Was a second person Keegan Klein? Was he somebody who actually ended the girls' lives? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Whoa. Okay. So earlier, I was seeing in my head him like throwing a tantrum and being upset that he couldn't be as involved or as a part of it in the way that he really wanted to. So if he was involved in their murders, why was I seeing that? I guess my question would be is what I was seeing still accurate in some way, but maybe about something else? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Yes. Okay. I can imagine what that might have been. So yeah, I'm sure you can too. So we have the first two people. The third person, was the third person Keegan Klein's dad? Was he involved in the actual taking of the girl's life? Yes. Okay, so 3 people. Ron Logan, Keegan Klein's dad. That's crazy. So I know the murders of Abby and Libby were ritualistic and, presented in a particular way for a particular reason. But I want to know, did these people take the life of anyone else, but in a less obvious manner? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Wow. Yeah. I mean, somebody who's going to act like that and basically commit those crimes and stage it in the way they did, it doesn't really seem like it's the first time doing that. Wow. Is the reason Richard Allen confessed to the murders of Abby and Libby so many times because of his decline in mental health? Cross for yes, move apart for no. Was it because of his decline in mental health? Yes. Thank you. Okay, well, that is the whole video. I feel like I answered all the questions that I had. I answered all the questions that I think that you guys had. Really, the whole purpose of this was to find out why and who. And I believe that we figured that out here. There's a whole lot to unpack. There was so much that was unexpected, in my opinion. Maybe some of you guys expected it, but holy moly, this case is just tragic in so many different ways. And to know that these people have taken the lives of others that we maybe just don't know about, that's terrifying. To give a brief overview, Richard Allen is allegedly innocent. He only said he was guilty because of his declining mental health. Libby and Abby were targeted. This was planned. It was an Odinism sacrifice. There were multiple people involved. It was a catfish situation, luring them in to their unfortunate murders. And yeah, it was just tragic all the way around. And the man that the police were originally going to hold accountable died, so they shift focus to Richard Allen. That is my conclusion, my very basic overall summary conclusion of this. Definitely let me know what you all think below in the comments. There was a lot of reoccurring cards, and we do see that trend whenever I do these readings, but this one was just on a different level. I really feel like it gave us some profound insight on what was going on in their brains and just kind of what they were really thinking about everything. Again, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your opinions, your perspective, what you thought about the reading. Also, please give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me some recommendations down below of other cases you would like me to visit. I still have a few on my list from some other recommendations, but I'm always happy to hear what you all have to say. With that being said, I will see you in the next one. Bye.